You cannot judge AI. You can judge people who are making AI. And system and solution that are coming from that. Back to my earlier comment, it's an ecosystem. If it is failing, one of the block that is the building block for this solution has not been properly in place. Mostly you can think that it is the data that has not been properly cleaned and behind the scene, or sometimes it's actually the expectation.
Nastaran Bisheban is the current Vice President of Vice Chairman of the CIO Association of Canada, as well as the CIO of VetStrategy. Nastaran describes herself as a passionate technologist and seasoned transformational leader. She holds an MBA in leadership and has been both a mentor and board member of various nonprofit organizations. Nastaran is doing more than just leading. She's challenging the status quo by constantly improving her work while helping her team members grow.
Preparation for the AI is not something to be slightly brushed off. It's something that needs to be built in place. And I think it's becoming a pattern of my response to all your questions, that when building AI, when pitching for it, when expecting what should be coming from it, never underestimate the cost and challenge of change management for foundation underneath AI.
All right. Hello, everyone. Today we are joined by Nastaran Bisheban. She's a passionate technologist and a seasoned transformation leader. She is currently National Vice Chairman at CIO Association of Canada and was previously the CTO at KFC Canada. Nastaran, maybe you can spend a minute talking a little bit about your background, what you have worked on so far.
Thanks for having me, Sumit. I'm a software engineer by education, have been in the industry for the past 3 decades, and have been privileged to actually see build up and revolution of the technology in so many different industries. And from that experience, I can tell you that there is no better time to be a technologist than what we are now.
Awesome, great. And I'm sure you may have seen this article that came from MIT report a couple of days ago that 95% of generative AI pilots are failing in companies. Why do you think that is?
AI is an ecosystem, and it's not something that you will take from somewhere, attach it, lift and shift. AI needs a deep background preparation, which is mostly sitting based on availability of a clean and curated proper data. This is the part that normally is missed. And when you miss that part, doesn't matter what engine you put on top of it, it is doomed. So in the absence of details on why exactly those pilots have been failing, I can give one generic answer that probably their data was not done right. And the ecosystem around what is a sustainable and expandable AI was not in place.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because like AI doesn't exist without data. But I would love to hear a bit more on that because in the same report they said back office projects tend to be succeeding more than front office projects like sales and marketing. Compared to that, finance, operations, and your back office projects tend to be more successful. Why do you think that is?
Well, because a lot of the back office activities are repeated work. We do have reasonably more defined processes, defined workflow for the back office activities. And more that those are solid, the AI that sits and provide the service related to them will be more solid. Again, I think there is not at the moment a very credible survey globally on that aspect. And whatever survey that we see is coming from regional or a country-based activities. Country by country have a very different numbers that you can see. And I'm not talking about developing countries and developed countries. Even within the developed countries, there are so many differences in the result that you can get from that. But in general, I wouldn't actually say it back office, front office. I would say whatever AI tools and solution that is sitting on a more solid data and solid defined processes and workflow is going to be more successful.
Okay, and I'm sure you have worked on a few of these generative AI pilots and deployments, production deployments. Can you tell us some of the successful ones and some of the ones that didn't go as smoothly as you anticipated?
Well, yes. Some of those successful one, especially for the uh, um, operational activities, anything that is related to generative AI is a little bit more difficult. The agentic AIs are a lot easier. This is what we used to call automation. And we would have made those rules and everything else in place. So it would have been a very nice, basically, intelligent workflow, faster and better. But nowadays, the agentic AI is a lot more successful, mostly because for an agent to do their task properly, think about a call center. It's a mostly very well defined. This has started from the IVR time that you would have had actually based on press one, go here, press two, go there. Those are the grandfathers of all of this agentic AI that now we can have a care center for multiple, basically, hospitals and clinics with multiple languages that you cannot even recognize that this is an AI agent that is talking to you. And in many cases, it can solve many issues and problems, especially countries like us with multi-language. It's very difficult to get agents that speak both languages and can easily switch between two. You normally have your French agent and then English agents. With the agentic AI, all of this are a problem in the past, and you can easily use humans to fine tune a large language model, have them fine tune the responses and everything else, and making your agentic AI engine more and more knowledgeable about the slangs of your industry, slangs of your activities, and everything else. So, a few of the very successful one, to answer your question precisely, are those that are agentic. Generative, we are still having a lot of challenges when it comes a few layers underneath. When you ask loop to loop questions, most of the generative AIs are lagging now. You ask ChatGPT to give you an article about something, help you with writing an article, and ask for some references. There is This is a personal test that I have gone through. It passed a very robust, beautiful article that when you click on the link, there is nothing behind it. So that is just made up link. and it had the entire Harvard process for writing the, reference and everything else. It was a flawless Lincoln Lake reference, but there wasn't anything behind it. And when you ask second question that why is that, they say, well, we use some of hypothetical answer for this stuff. So it depends what you're using. We are still in the infancy, I would say, for the public usage. I'm not talking about the specialty labs that might be decades ahead of the general purpose and general use. But for the general purpose, we are still in the infancy, or probably it's because there are not a lot of interest on building the data behind it in a different way that is possible. So I would say, in comparison, agentic AI based are a lot more successful than generative AI at the moment for the level of the public and semi-public consumptions.
And as these companies report, a lot of their pilots are failing, how should you judge AI pilots as a company, right? Especially generative AI pilots, right? Should it be immediate? Should it be medium term? Should it be long term? How should you think about that?
You cannot judge AI. You can judge people who are making AI. And system and solution that are coming from that. Back to my earlier comment, it's an ecosystem. If it is failing, one of the block that is the building block for this solution has not been properly in place. Mostly, you can think that it is the data that has not been properly cleaned and behind the scene, or sometimes it's actually the expectation that what you expect that AI to give you. Many people, especially non-techies and sometimes techies, they don't even know what should they expect from AI. So managing the expectation from the beginning, knowing exactly how much you are going to spend, and not taking for granted that if you have a nice demo, it's going to be translate to a return of ROI. No, for that demo to turn to something tangible in your ecosystem, you do need to have some investment in place to have the proper people trained how to trick your large language model, to have the proper solutions and the data center that is hosting this information. There comes with that the additional license fee that you need to pay for those data centers. So there are a lot more than, wiping a demo for something very cool may take maximum a few hours. But making it available for something that it is returning your expectation, it needs a ecosystem as a platform, as a proper foundation to be in place. And normally that doesn't come cheap. So when the realization of that comes in place, people will say AI failed. And that's the easiest way of judging the situation.
So, how should CIOs be pitching these AI projects and initiatives to the board, to the executives?
First of all, CIO needs to refrain from falling a victim into that shiny object. That's the first thing. We technologists love new technology and immediately go after it and start. So, refraining ourselves and making sure that we understand, are we actually changing something that is a problem, or we are bringing a new opportunity for additional channels. Um, the pitch for the CFOs should not start with cost saving. The pitch to the CFOs, at least the one that I ever started and was going somewhere, is this is an investment. We need to do investment in order to gain something from it, similar to anything else. And the fact that it is something in a box that you don't know exactly what is happening inside it doesn't mean that what you saw here should be immediately working. I had seen these situations that my peers are showing the excitement on the demo to their CFO and CEOs and building up the hype and everything else. And immediately the question from them is when and how much. And the how much will come as a first question that should be in place. Preparation for the AI is not something to be slightly brushed off. It's something that needs to be built in place. And I think it's becoming a pattern of my response to all your questions that when building AI, when pitching for it, when expecting what should be coming from it, never underestimate the cost and challenge of change management for foundation underneath AI.
Can you give us an example of a project, AI project you pitched successfully to your board? What kind of preparation did you do beforehand? What did the pitch look like?
Well, think about care center for clinics and hospitals. These care center comes with agents that need to sit in a call center, respond, and they should be talking to clinics and should be able to talk to patients on behalf of the clinics. When you are in a group of hospitals and a group of clinics, um, you can either have individual members within the clinic do that job, or you can have a centralized care center. When you are building a centralized care center, there are agents that are familiar with it. They can immediately come and start. If they have access to the practice management system of those clinics, they can start calling on behalf of the clinic. If you have a shared VoIP system. So they can sit somewhere and call on behalf of the clinic somewhere else or receive the call on behalf of other clinics. These are the exact thing when you are going and pitching that I will give you a care center that has a AI backed up needs to be in place. First, you need to have similar practice management system. Then you need to have a unified voice over IP activities and telephony system. You cannot have 30 different practice management system and 30 plus telephony system and have a central place. You need to have, otherwise, to the number of the combination, you have to have a different integration to be done between the telephony system and practice management system for availability in here. And once this is done, you need to be able that the data for all of those are also sitting there and available for the agents. And when you pitch something with all of this in place and start one by one talking about what benefits it's coming from all of this, it's not always that we need to do all of those foundation in order to get AI. Sometimes those foundations are tasks and activities that have been neglected for ages. And now they can come up because of the benefit that they have with the robust data and AI engine behind it. You can actually highlight and leverage that experience. So I would say for people who are doing this kind of pitch, refrain from um, jumping into competition. Make sure that the change management and challenges for putting this with the cost analysis of all of those changes are completely understood. In this case, you will have your CFO as a partner on accepting the risks versus someone that will come to you and say, I didn't know it's going to cost this much. And now that we are halfway through, I'm not happy, and reluctantly just dragging their feet to sponsor more and more costs that your project will need. So do the homework. Better summary for this: do your homework from all layers that are needed in an ecosystem of AI, and don't underestimate the change management side of it.
That's very detailed. Thank you. And as the national vice chairman for the CIO Association of Canada, I'm sure you're seeing a lot of AI projects that are being implemented by other CIOs. In your opinion, what are some of the big bets you're seeing in terms of AI pilots in enterprise companies?
The pharmaceutical are enjoying a lot of use cases from the benefit of the AI. Medical research are benefiting a lot. Agriculture also, for a better seeds, genetic, they're also earning a lot. Any of the simulator organizations that need a simulator for training, for defining and predictive model and everything, they are benefiting a lot from generative AI. But all of this are in a scale that is specialized to that industry. I yet to find something that is easily lift and shift to other area, because each organization are very unique. And I can give you an example. Even, for instance, think about a medical board. Um, the way that doctors are seeing patient in Europe versus North America are very different. One of the main reasons that anyone that in Europe got their medical degree, they need to pass through multiple exams before they can actually practice here. So in general, you would think they're all seeing patients and curing diseases. How different can it be? So the engine for the systems that are going to help a doctor is lift and shift, far from the reality. And every one of this needs to be tweaked properly and everything. So the examples that you can see from a very successful one are those that realize um, what they are expecting and defining exactly what problem or they're resolving or business opportunity they are foreseeing.
Okay, and when you think about these transformations, especially what you call lift and shift or more generalized solutions that can be used, I'm not sure if you heard the Anthropic CEO a few months ago. He said within 6 months, 90% of code will be written by AI. Well, it's been more than 6 months, and that's definitely not true yet, but we are heading in that direction. I guess my question to you is, what does it take for 90% of the work in IT department to be done by AI?
I don't think that will be something ever you're going to see. 90% of IT, you're talking about the operation traditional IT activities. I don't think 90% of it will be, but definitely a good percentage of repeated activities can be done. For instance, the call center, help desk, service desk definitely is something that maybe even 100% of it can be, and 1% keep for the human to fix it. But 90%, no. Speaking of 90% of the code will be, you reminded me of the time that I was with Rocket and Kobo, and the concept of self-detective code we have identified me at the time. I was the VP of R&D and global technology delivery with team around the world. And the CTO at the time, that was my boss, we were discussing this as a self-detecting code that would have identified if there was any bug with him. And the next step was actually the self-healing code that would have find out what issue they have, and instead of just freezing the app or something like that, gracefully exiting or providing what should be done in order for the problem to be resolved. I'm talking about 2017, 2018. At that time, there was no concept of an AI to write a code for you. But the principle is not something new. The principle always exists. I'm part of the generation that in the last year of my study, we have actually, when I was undergrad in the computer science, we coded with the punch code, the assembly with the punch card. Sorry. I have seen that era as well. And since then, multiple different generation and revolution of the programming language that came and every time made it easier. There is always room for going under the hood, similar to and write the code that it is not built by a machine AI, similar to driving a stick versus driving an automated car or a self-driving car. There are still demand for people who want to change the gear themselves and don't want to sit in a car that someone else is even, the machine is driving them. So I wouldn't say that at any moment we will have 90% of the code to be driven by AI. Like we are seeing that it is not the case. Another thing that I see very frequent is it seems we have all of a sudden everyone an expert in AI. And everyone with a little knowledge of what is behind the scene is claiming that they are an AI expert, they are an AI transformer. I have studied this, but I don't claim that I'm an expert. And I even don't dare to say I know it, mostly because that's the extension to the hype and the extension of a false hype that expectation is different. And although it is an amazing tool, like any other tool that human created, it's a double-edged sword. And we are not spending enough time to look into the other side of the sword that is not actually nice. And we want to make sure that the harm that it might bring is addressed before it has started to cut. So I went on tangent, probably didn't answer your question. Did I answer your question?
You did, and that actually leads me to one of the points you're asking about the other side of AI. One of the other sides of AI is the biggest other side of AI is human and human jobs, right? They're saying, up to 50%, 60% of the IT team will be replaced by AI, but some other CIOs have an alternative view where it's not that the IT team will be replaced, but they would have to be upskilled in the generative AI era. I guess, what does upskilling mean for an IT analyst, an IT manager in the generative AI era?
First of all, any mediocre, doesn't matter what industry, what expertise, they're always at risk of being chopped. So
It's true.
if you are a good developer, I can give you basically examples of some of the COBOL programmer that at the moment are earning arms and legs in hourly basis because there are some old systems that require those expertise, and at the moment there is none of the existing development team that want to actually go through it. So if you are a good one, you will always have your job. And this is one of the factor in human life, if we want to be a little bit more philosophic on this. If you are not adaptive to change, you are doomed for failure. This is a change of this era. Learning a new language, learning how to build AI, learning how to be a better user for the AI, learning different areas that AI, in my opinion, will never ever replace human. In the larger scale, again, in the lab, we might find something that AI is replacing humans, but it might make our life easier. And in some cases, difficult if we are not flexible to adapt with that change. But in a constant learn and refraining from being a mediocre, I would say a person will always have a person's job.
And you talked about learning, right? You always have to learn with changing technology. What specifically do you think a person working in the IT department needs to learn, in your opinion?
First, define IT. I think the traditional IT that we are talking about, having the network in place, having the security in place, laptop, password change, those kind of thing, many of those will be actually replaced by AI, rightfully so. But then those techies need to learn a little bit more of a human interactions. We have been for the longest period, um, somehow not very wrong, called in a stereotype of techies are not very social. They just leave me alone. I want to go and code, and I want to be in my, corner. But learning the human interaction will always pay back. Learning how to interact with this vast availability of the data and how to be able to actually ask the right question. Nowadays, you will see that if you ask same um, concept in two different format from the same engine, you get a very different answer. Hence, the expertise nowadays is rising to how to ask the question. Um, there is no end to um, learning these kind of skills. And I would say it's the best time to be a technologist because it is the time that we are from one side getting a lot closer to the machine, and it's our opportunity to get a lot closer to the human side of the tech as well. So learn human.
Awesome. Nastaran, this has been great. We now move to the last section of the podcast. Essentially, I'll be asking you 5 rapid fire questions. You have about 10 seconds to answer each question. Okay? All right.
Okay.
First,
I'm not good at the under pressure answering, but
Hey.
let's start.
That's okay. First one. Which one do you prefer for work? ChatGPT, Claude, or Copilot?
Gemini. Neither one of those.
Good answer. Gemini has come a long way in the last 6 months. I
Oh,
agree with you.
it
Yeah.
just started awful, but it's one of the best now for me.
What's the most overrated AI use case you have seen at work?
We will reduce the cost. That's the most overrated use case for cost reduction. We want to use AI.
What's the most underrated AI opportunity?
Oh, come on. Of course, that's the next question. Most underrated AI opportunity is the cleanup, the foundational cleanup. That
Foundational cleanup of data.
Yep.
Okay.
It has been very underrated.
What's the worst advice you have heard about AI?
It will fix your problem, every problem, without even knowing what the problem is.
I'm sure as a CIO, you get a lot of pitches from vendors. What's the number one red flag you see in an AI pitch?
When they start with CIOs are having this problem. Sounds familiar? We can fix it for you. Oh my God, if I hear one more of those. I think this is the most pet peeve for me as a pitch.
Awesome, Nastaran. This was great. Thanks a lot for joining us, and we'd really appreciate you giving us your time.
My pleasure. Hopefully it was helpful for your audience as well.
So, thank you.